everyone. Welcome to another life story. Welcome to all our regular viewers and listeners, and those who are joining us for the first time this evening. If you need any help, you need prayer, then you can contact us on our hotline, +44 794 355 0287. You can also go to our website, lifestoriesworldwide.com. There you'll find an app that you can download to your phone, which will give you lots of other information. Tonight, we're going live on Zoom, Facebook, and YouTube. Please let your friends know, your neighbors, your work colleagues, tell them about these wonderful stories that are on Monday evening. Tonight, we'll have a first speaker from Poland. We've had different people from different parts of Europe, but tonight we're going to Lwice in Poland. And tonight we have Mietek Kondratowicz, who is going to share his story. Mietek was brought up as an atheist, but he came to a point where he found God. He had lots of accidents in his life, which he'll tell you about. And he and his wife are running a language school in Poland. And so I'm going to hand over to you now, Mietek, to share your story. Thank you, Mietek.
Thank you, too. Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you for this opportunity to share my story. And yeah, it's a privilege that I can say what God did for me. Actually, it was absolutely 100% God doing something and me doing nothing. And yeah, my story just shows me how clever God is, how amazing God is, and then me not being interested in him at all, and he finding me. So my story is this. I was born in Poland, in the south of Poland, and there was the time where Poland was still socialistic or communist, and I was brought up, I was born and brought up and grew up in a non-believing family, in an atheistic family. And the reason for this is that mainly my father, who was born just before the Second World War in the northeast part of Poland, where now there is, or later there was Soviet Union. And at that time, it was Poland, yes. And what happened to all religious people who were there, especially the Catholics, they divided into two groups. One group who didn't want to collaborate with the Russians, with the Soviets, they were either killed or sent to Siberia. And those who remained, who were still practicing some kind of religion, they were collaborators and they were treated as traitors. So a lot of people, including my family, thought there's no use for this. So anyway, my father grew up in that kind of atmosphere. And then when he came to Poland, like to New Poland after the Second World War, he decided that there's no God. And anyway, so my family was an atheist family. We didn't believe in God. We didn't go to church. We didn't believe in a priest. And my father was actually warning me, look, be careful with religion, be careful with literature. There are a lot of lies in literature. Be careful with history. Yeah, history has been rewritten. So what you read, most of it is lies. So be careful with that. So we had a good family. That was a good family. My father he's not a professor, but he's an inventor. Like he's an engineer, designer, and so he went into science. So he's like a scientist. So we believe in science. We believe in mathematics, that kind of things. And so we just continued our lives like this. No church, no God, nothing, none of these things. And that was kind of a little bit unusual because at that time, on one hand, Poland was socialist and communist on one hand. On the other hand, Polish national identity was very closely related to Catholicism. So when people ask me, you don't go to church, are you a communist? And that was very hard for us because we were absolutely against communism. We even hated communism, yes, but we didn't go to church. So who were we? It was kind of very, very strange. it was maybe a little bit difficult and strange, but on the whole, it was not bad. But there were some serious problems in my life, very serious, and they were all connected to my health. One thing was accidents. I had lots of accidents in my life, and the other thing was infections. I had a lot of infections, with sinus infections, throat infections, ear, nose, etc. So I was either ill or in hospital after an accident. I was like almost non-stop. The times when I was healthy were far and few between. It was very, very rare for me to be healthy. Just to give you a couple of examples of some accidents that we had, like some of them very, very serious. For example, we had a car accident, a very serious car accident, where so it was almost, maybe not a head-on collision, but was an accident with a lorry, so with a big car. And in this accident, I was very, very much, terribly injured. My leg was broken, and not just cracked, but when the bone broke, because I had very strong legs because I played football for a lot of time. The bones, when it broke, they just moved, pulled by the muscles. So I spent a lot of time in hospital where they tried to, pull back this bone and then allow it to somehow solidify and become again normal. And they put my leg in plaster. And then I stayed in hospital again for a very, very, very long time. So it was one example. Also, my head was hurt very, very much. So maybe it's not visible, but I've got 16 stitches here so that the head could be sewn back together. So it was really, really bad. Another accident was where I played football. So instead of going to church, I played football almost every day or all.
He's coming. Jesus is coming. I can't wait to hear the trumpet call. He's coming. Jesus is coming. And when he comes, we'll crown him Lord of all. And when he comes, we'll crown him Lord of all.
I would say every day. I can't think of any day for a number of years where I didn't play football. So every day there had to be a football match. So that was one of my big hobbies. I was living football. And then we played in every possible place. One of these places were roofs of garages. So because it was flat, it was big, and nobody wanted to use them. So our team and maybe another opponent's team, we got on the roof and then we played football. So it was fun. We were not chased by other group of players, but the problem is that the roof has got an edge. And then at one time, as I was playing, as I was moving backwards, I didn't notice that I was coming too close to the edge, and then I fell off the roof. And as I was falling down, I landed on my head, with my head hitting the concrete, and I lost consciousness. My skull was broken. I ended up in school unconscious, and it was kind of touch and go. It was debatable whether I would survive it or not. But I survived, and I looking backwards, I believe it was God. Even in all these terrible accidents, he was protecting me somehow. So I survived. I lost hair here. So the reason I don't have hair at the top of my head is because there's like one big scar here on top of my head. So there was another bad accident that I had. Now, because I played football so much, I sprained my ankle many times. I tried to count. I don't know exactly, but I believe I sprained my ankle up to 80 times. So I was maybe not in plaster, but bandage all my right, mainly my right ankle, because you hit the ball with your right foot. But also I sprained my left ankle as well, many times. I remember one time when I went to the forest. It was not connected to football, but I climbed a tree, and I don't know what happened. I fell off the tree and I broke my arm. So that's another thing. So accident after accident after accident. Another hobby that I had, because I was not going to I didn't go to church. We didn't go to church. You had to do something with your free time. So another thing was chemistry, and especially explosions. I like explosions. And there were accidents happening as well. One of them, I believe the biggest one was where, together with a friend of mine, we wanted to create a flamethrower. Something kind of a weapon that you've got, like a flame that is quite long. It's not just a small piece of flame, but a long, like a line of flame. And to do that, we needed to have hydrogen. So we got the hydrogen, and we decided I will hold this hydrogen in my hand, like in a like a balloon. And he will light this hydrogen, and then hopefully we'll have the flamethrower. And instead of the flamethrower, it was an explosion. And my hands were burned. Now they look normal, but they were completely burned. And again, thank God that nothing worse happened, that we didn't this hydrogen didn't explode in my face, but in my hands. And so again, I was taken to hospital to treat my hands. So and again and again and again and again things happened. And we didn't know what to do. And then when there was no accident, I had an infection. And even in summer, it was not just in winter, but also in summer. Almost every summer, as far as I can remember, I was ill. So when there was no accident, then I was ill and treated with some kind of antibiotics or something to help me. On top of that, I had a friend who later actually became somebody who God used to help me find God, or actually God found me. And this man, he did some bad things to me, causing again accidents. So one of the things he did, he took some kind of a fuel, some petrol that can be used in these cigarette lighters. So it was a bottle, and what he did, he threw some of these liquid, this fuel liquid, in my face, and he lit it. So my face burned, not completely, but I've got like marks. I believe I can find some pictures where my face is burned. So I was again another accident caused but on purpose, by a bad man. So so my life continued like this. And I remember my grandmother saying to me, whenever I wanted to leave home, she was like almost begging me, don't go anywhere, because that may be your last cross. She knew I was in trouble, in serious trouble. But I couldn't stay at home. I had to go somewhere. So, and when I went, and if something happened and my family couldn't, they didn't know where I was, then they knew where to look for me. They had to go to hospitals and to find me in a hospital. So that was actually terrible. And now it may sound funny, but it was not funny. It was terrible, actually. And then so time went on, and then I believe God himself, only he started kind of pursuing me. I believe he took an initiative 100%. I did nothing to find God. It was 100% of God who found me. And one of the things he did, with me not believing in God, I had nothing against God, but against God who didn't exist. I didn't have nothing against church, but I didn't believe in church. I didn't go to church. I didn't believe in the Bible, and didn't know that the Bible even existed. I was, I believe, 17 years old, maybe around this time, when somebody asked me if I read the Bible, I have the Bible, and then
He's coming. Jesus is coming. I can't wait to hear the trumpet call. He's coming. Jesus is coming. And when he comes, we'll crown him Lord of all. And when he comes, we'll crown him Lord of all.
Life Stories.
Surprisingly, I asked them, what is a Bible? I didn't know what the Bible was yet, even that, yeah. So I was so removed from this religious life or whatever, yeah. And all my friends were Catholics, yes. And then they were not better than me, but they didn't have so many accidents, yeah, maybe zero, but they were not better than me. So I just thought, what's the point, yeah? And especially like my father, he told me, be careful with history, with literature, with religion, yeah, with that kind of things, yeah. So anyway, but God didn't forget about me. I didn't think about him, because why should I think about God who doesn't exist? But he thought about me, and now I'm really, really grateful to him that he started doing something. So the first thing that he did was he sent this criminal, the boy, I mean the man who threw this petrol in my face and lit it and burned my face. There was a time when I stopped living in the same place, because we used to be neighbors, and then we moved house. We started living in a different part of town, and I haven't had any contact with this man for a number of years, maybe even 10 years, or I can't remember exactly how many years, but it was a number of years where we lost touch. And I remember one day riding a bike, and as I was riding the bike, I just ran into him. Yeah, we just met by accident. So we recognized each other, even though it was like a long period of time where we haven't seen each other. So we started speaking, and I remembered the bad things he did to me. Yeah, including electricity. Yeah, so he was a clever guy, and not a good man, but a very clever. Yeah, and then he created some kind of generators. He asked me to hold two electric points. Can you hold one point? Can you hold another point? And then he threw electricity through my body. Yeah. So I remember all these things. Yeah. Also the burnt face. But anyway, so we met, and it was a long time before that these things happened. And he asked me if he could talk to me. And I was apprehensive. I was a little bit afraid, still remembering what happened. But he invited me to his home, and I decided to visit him. Yes, so I went to his home, a little bit afraid. Yeah, but I went, and we sat in a room, and I was expecting something to happen to me, remembering what had happened in the past. Maybe he would just pull some kind of a lever, and I would just fall under the floor, or I don't know. Yes, I was just sitting, looking at him, and he was very quiet, looking at me, and I knew he was a bad man. I knew he was a criminal. Later, he became a criminal. I just learned that he was breaking into people's cars and stealing things from his cars. And he was not doing it alone. He was part of a gang, stealing things from people's cars. Yeah. And so here's a criminal sitting in front of me, and I'm here. And then the first thing he said, Jesus changed my life. And it was like hitting me with a baseball bat on my head. It was so surprising, astounding. Like, I'm an atheist. I don't believe in God, but I'm a good man. I don't do anything bad to anybody. and I don't believe in God. And he is a criminal or an ex-criminal, and he's telling me about Jesus. And I was so shocked by what he said that I was unable to respond. So I didn't say anything, and he was just telling me his story. Yeah. So he told me his story that his gang leader got saved. He met Jesus, and then he told everybody in his gang to give their lives to Jesus. Yes, I can't remember all these details, but I remember that it was not just him. It was the first one, but first the gang boss, became a Christian, met God, yes, and then he told him and others as well. So he was telling me his story, and it was beyond me. I didn't know what to say. I didn't want to say anything. I was not even interested in that, but I was shocked. It was like a really shock to me. Yeah, so he told me all these things about his life, his change of life, and then I didn't say almost anything as far as I remember. I didn't ask any questions. I just thanked him and left. But as I was leaving, he gave me some Christian books. Yeah, and I didn't read any books. I didn't read any Bible. Yeah, I had found out that Bible existed, that such a thing as Bible existed. Yeah, some time earlier, before. So I didn't read any of the religious books. Yeah, and then we didn't have any religious books at home. Maybe one given to us by my mother's father, because he was religious, but we didn't have much contact with him. I mean, they live far away from us. So anyway, I took this literature that he gave me, and I believe one of the books was written by Billy Graham. I can't remember exactly, but I took this with me and walked back home, or rode my bike. I can't remember how I got back home. And then I was just thinking, what happened to this world? Yeah, I was absolutely shocked. Yes, and now I can, looking back, I can see it was God just kind of knocking into me, trying to do something to me. And I got home, and then I went to a running camp, because I used to be, I became a runner. Yeah, I trained running for 6 years. So I went to a kind of training camp for runners. Yes, I went to this camp, and in free time I was reading this literature. Yeah, I had time. I didn't play football at that time very much. I ran, for the period of this camp.
Life Stories.